This video is going to be all about portable air compressors. I'm going to go over some things to look for, some things to avoid, and a few compressors I've had great luck with over the years. All right, let's get to it. Now, the big advantage of going with a portable style air compressor versus a fixed one for your vehicle is quite simply you can remove it from the car. So you're not sacrificing cargo room and adding weight to your daily driver. I also really like that typically these are complete kits. So you're going to have everything you need to air back up on the trail. If you're someone like me that has multiple vehicles, it makes the investment a lot easier to have one quality air compressor that you can take from car to car. Now, there are three main things to consider when you're looking at portable 12-volt air compressors. Number one is CFM, number two is duty cycle, and lastly, amp draw. Now, CFM is important because it stands for cubic feet per minute. The higher the number, the more volume you're going to be channeling into your tire. So if you get a compressor with a higher CFM, it's going to equate to being able to fill up the tire more quickly. However, that's only part of the equation. The next thing you're going to need to look at is duty cycle. Now, the most important spec by far is duty cycle. Duty cycle is represented by a percentage. It usually goes from about 30% to 100%. And what that number represents is how long the compressor is designed to run continuously before needing to cool down. A 100% duty cycle compressor is designed to run for 1 hour continuously, whereas something like a 33% duty cycle compressor is designed to run for 20 minutes and then have a cool down time of 40 minutes. Typically, these things are all based in an hour. Now, the advantage of a low percentage duty cycle is typically they have more flow and more power. So I don't want to say that low percentage duty cycle is bad, but if you're trying to air up something like these big 40-inch Nitto trail grapplers, you're going to want to look for a compressor with a higher percentage duty cycle, because quite frankly, getting these things back from 8 psi to 30 psi is going to take a lot of air, and typically you will time out of what it's going to take for a smaller percentage duty cycle compressor. Now, I do want to speak briefly about amp draw and how these compressors affect your vehicle's electrical system. Now, all of these 12-volt compressors are designed to work with one single battery and should not damage your electrical system in any way. Modern vehicles are a little finicky, but I haven't seen one where it's been an issue using these alligator style clips to run any compressor that I've had that's been 12 volt. That being said, it is highly recommended to start with a very healthy battery. If you have an older vehicle and you're taxing it with this, it might be too much for it, so that's something to consider. Also worth considering is I always keep the vehicle in the on position running while I'm using the compressor. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes to air up your tires, and having something that has a lot of draw in your battery, especially if you've been using the winch that day or something else that's been demanding on the electrical system, it's just not always good practice to keep the vehicle running while you are using the compressor. And that's really about it. If you do have a battery that's difficult to get to, you can get an Anderson style plug and have it where it's easily accessible from outside of the vehicle and still use a portable air compressor. Now, all compressor kits are going to come with some type of hose, and I don't really have a big dog in the fight on which hose is better. I do like these coil style hoses because they don't take up a lot of room, but I will tell you that over the years these things do get brittle and eventually you have to replace them. Typically the first thing that starts to go are the ends, and you can field service repair them. They're not that big of a deal, but it's something to consider. Also very much so worth considering is how much hose length that you're going to get with a given kit. Now, all of these are going to have a power lead that's going to go from the compressor to the battery, and that's going to allow you to cheat a little bit. But if you have a very long wheelbase vehicle, it might be worth investing in a longer hose kit that came with it. It seems like a lot of these kits are really designed for Wranglers with a shorter wheelbase. On something like my Jeep Gladiator, you definitely want a longer hose so you're not having to worry about the hose getting kinked and fighting it to get all the way around. Now, virtually all of these kits are going to come with this style of fill-up chuck, which is perfectly fine, and it's going to give you a gauge, and you can sit there and really fine-tune and know, exactly what your tire needs and all that stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, I never use these. What I always swap these things out for are latch-on style chucks. Once you know how long it takes to fill up your tire, there's no sense for you sitting there squeezing the handle. Get a latch-on style, put a timer on your cell phone, and go do something else while each tire is filling. That's what I do. It works perfectly fine. I'll put a link in the description of this video of where I get these, but I highly recommend, regardless of what kit you get, if it doesn't come with one of these where you can just set it on and walk away, purchase a set. They're a couple bucks and well worth it. Now, I do want to talk about a few compressors I've actually had very good luck with over the years. And when I say years, I mean years. These two Viair compressors right here are both from 2015. They come with this bag, a 30-foot hose, you get 8-foot power leads, and of course a chuck and gauge to actually fill up the tires. Now, I'll explain why there's two here in just a second. The good thing to note about these more than anything else is they are fairly compact. Even with it mounted on the base, they don't take up a lot of room. Now, I mentioned the base because you'll see that one of them does not have a base. And the reason I did that mostly is because this Jeep right here is running a 40-inch Nitto Trail Grappler. I wanted to be able to put that compressor in this drawer right here so I could easily take it, and that base did not fit. So I've got a bag that thing goes in. It makes it pretty portable. Now, what are these compressors? Well, you have a 400p automatic right here and a 450p automatic. The 400 is a 33% duty cycle compressor, and it is super fast and super powerful. And if you have really a 35-inch tire or below, I highly recommend it. It will fill up your tires quickly. It's not something that has ever given me any issue, and I think it's great. This 33% duty cycle compressor compared to the 450 that's beside it, which is 100% duty cycle, will fill up each tire about a minute faster than that one if it's a 35 and below. When you get over 35s, it's really recommended to move to a higher duty cycle compressor, and that's kind of how I ended up with the 450. Is I had some cars that had smaller tires, and this made a lot of sense for, but I also had some stuff with some really big tires, and I was worried that this thing was just not gonna, cut it, and I didn't want to spend forever filling up my tires, so I ended up getting the 450p. Now, the automatic designation for both of these just means when it's actually hooked up and it's running, when the tank fills up, it automatically cuts off. So the thing's not just sitting there running, which will cut into your actual runtime of the compressor. Both of these have been super reliable. The only thing that I've messed up on each of them is if you're not careful about how you pack these, this air filter right here can easily break off. And that's happened a couple times. They make replacements, not a big deal. These are serviceable filters that come out the back. You just unscrew this little thing and there's a filter right in there. So super easy in regards of kind of maintenance. They're oil free. You don't have to service them in any way like that. I mentioned earlier about duty cycle. That 100% duty cycle works great, but it's not super fast. And that doesn't mean that all 100% duty cycle compressors are slow, which I will show you more about here in just a second. And really why I ultimately ended up getting another portable air compressor, and let me show you that now. So let me introduce you to my most recent portable air compressor upgrade that is more in every way. More powerful, more heavy, and unlike the Viairs, it stays in this big old case. But let me tell you why that's okay. This is Rough Country's portable twin motor air compressor with carrying case. It comes with a 100% duty cycle twin motor compressor, additional air tank, and pumps out 6.16 CFM. Now, it's around $100 more than the 450p Viair, but half the price of ARB's portable air compressor that's very similar to this. This case makes it super easy to have everything in one spot and includes a 20-foot hose and latch-on style gauge. Now, I will say, going with something that has this air tank in it and the bigger compressor and the bag and all that stuff, it's a pro and a con. This thing, it's stout. It's fairly heavy for what it is, but the case is really nice. It keeps everything in here so you don't have to, have another bag to carry something. I can stack stuff on top of this thing and I'm not too worried about it. For my truck, I can put it in the truck bed, and it's got this nice steel right here, which has done a really good job of keeping out the elements. It does have some tie down points, so I'm not worried about it sliding around. That's been really nice, especially like after I'm using this thing, I'm not worrying about laying something hot on it. The big thing why this made a lot of sense for me more than anything else is I knew it would be fast, and I really wanted to start cutting down times of airing up, especially with the kids. They're just like, is there not a faster way? So this was the faster way and a pretty affordable solution. Now, how much faster is this than the 450p that was 100% duty cycle on a big tire? That's something I wanted to figure out. And so what I did is I tried to do as much of an apples to apples comparison as I could. So I just got done with a trip up in Viair National Forest with my Gladiator on 38s. It's running a 38 by 1350 R17 Nitto Trail Grappler. It's on a 17 by 8.5 inch wheel from Method. Really good wheel for what it is. And what I ended up doing is I dropped it down, all the tires, to 12.5 PSI, which really works nice for that overall setup. And I wanted to see how long it would take per tire to get back to 31 PSI. So I did 2 tires per each side, a front tire and a back tire with each compressor. Now the Viair is typically around 4 minutes per tire. That's been my experience, and this was pretty much the same for this date. It was pretty cold out. I don't know how much that affected it, but I did the first tire in 4 minutes and 6 seconds and the second tire in 4 minutes and 31 seconds. The rough country, same deal. First tire was faster, but it was 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So a full 2 minutes off of the Viair time. And the second tire was 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That's pretty incredible. Now, it was about 33, 34 degrees when I was using it, so I think that's worth mentioning. I was doing my best to like stop the timer and make sure that I got it, all pretty, fair and all that stuff. I'm not saying that I got it perfect, but that just gives you a perspective of like how much faster this compressor is over the Viair. I want to reiterate, the Viairs have been fantastic, and it's a single compressor. It's not a dual compressor, so yeah, no duh, this thing's going to be faster. And this setup here is more expensive, and it's got another tank. So this isn't meant to be like, oh, I tested a twin air for a single air and I'm shocked that it's fast. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to sort of get through here is if you want something that's faster, you really got to look at those CFMs. That's going to make a big difference here. And obviously having that twin style compressor with that higher CFM and the tank on it, all that added up to a faster air time. Hopefully you guys got all the information and it made sense. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. If you want to see what I'm working on behind the scenes, you can check me out at Ali Mansour Editor. If you do enjoy these videos, I appreciate it if you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. And until next time, I hope to see you guys on the trail. Thanks for watching. Take care.